I think the damages change, but it feels almost as if it's the same. We're seeing worse and worse typhoons every single year. Back when Knock 10 hit, it was an unprecedented storm of its time. And now every single year we're seeing storms of the same or even worse capacity. It depends on wind damage and water damage, but again, it's still pretty tragic to see the impacts on our land and our farmers.
And your farmers then, I mean, how are they coping? It's become multiple emergencies, one after the other, and the typhoons have come at shorter intervals.
That's
So
right.
the recovery period is so short that it's so difficult to actually rise out of the last typhoon.
Indeed. And I think with our farmers, they're doing well and better than they used to. I think they know how to harness the aftermath of the storms and recover from it a lot better than we did in 2016. But I think now, of course, we're seeing less and less time to recover, to rebuild. And so it's becoming less of a question of how resilient can we be and more of a question of what can we do next and how can we protect ourselves and safeguard these communities from the impacts of climate change, which natural disasters, there's very little you can do to prevent them. And we know that it's a global issue and more of a policy issue. But we're working with our farmers to find the best solutions moving forward.
And correct me if I'm mistaken, it's peak harvesting season right now,
That's
from
right.
August to December. So what are the yields going to be like by the end of this year, given the damage so far sustained because of Uwan?
We're yet to see. We usually do preventative harvests, ideally before, and also pruning to make sure that the trees sustain less damage from winds. But we're yet to see the impacts of how our harvests are affected. Of course, we don't expect to harvest as much as we would have projected. And usually the pods that are, damaged from the storms, we don't expect to harvest them. But if there is anything that we can get after that, we continue to do that. And we've also created safeguards for our farmers. So if they can't make income from the cacao pods, we do leaf fossilizations and convert the leaves into textiles. So there's backups on backups. And of course, our farmers have different diverse crops other than cocoa that they can fall back on and start planting as early as now so that by the time that the typhoon season is over, they still have another source of income to fall back on.
So what you just cited there, is that regenerative farming? I mean, is that a portion of that full ecosystem that you created within your farmland?
That's right. So we do believe in regenerative agroforestry, which is a buzzword, I understand. It's a way of sustainable farming where you create forests that have these economic benefits, where farmers don't just plant one thing, but multiple varieties of things to create different levels of forest cover. So for example, in the time of storms, they have a windbreaker, but also different crops to fall back on, just in case one of them fails or one of them is destroyed. There are different fail-safe methods within this forest, and they're able to generate diverse incomes from it.
Okay, so incomes, how does it look like right now with the kind of agroforestry you're doing with regenerative?
Well, our farmers are able to generate more. So in the past, people have been historically farming just coconut or just corn, and it's a monoculture. With this, they have income from, let's say, bok choy, from bananas, from cocoa, from the leaves and textiles they're able to make. So it depends on the farmer and how much land they have and also how masipag they want to be with their farms. But they can do so much more, and they've generated, depends on per crop, but sometimes with bok choy I hear that they do 20,000 pesos in 2 weeks, and then more for other crops. So it really depends on the market prices and their harvests.
So are they making money?
Oh, they're making so much more money now. I love to hear the stories from our farmers. They talk about rebuilding their homes because of the extra income, building community churches. I find that with women farmers, they love to create community resources with the income they create from cacao. So it's something that's for themselves, but also shared with the community. Some of our farmers talk about getting their eyes lasered, or it's less about survival now for them and more about thriving and being able to treat themselves to different things, which I think is a good indicator that they're doing economically better.